and exciting things to talk about today as every day. Fernando, how are you and what's cooking, brother? Fernando's not here yet. Awesome. So, guys, again, happy Trajectory Tuesday. Lots to talk about. AG, Unblinded team, when Adam gets here, just please let me know. When
I'm here.
Hey,
Yep.
Adam. So listen, team, we had a phenomenal breakthrough day on Trajectory Tuesday. And let's talk about like hyperbolic dynamics. And was it really a phenomenal breakthrough day? Because we all talk about positive language and not making it better than it is, not making it less than it is. Was it really a breakthrough day? So I'll let you decide. But what we spoke about this morning, I offer to you on Trajectory Tuesday, and I'll begin here. So Adam, when folks look at innovation and innovation optimization, and they're present to their acceleration, right? Can you just give an example of how folks out there can innovate based on what we just did this morning? So we're going to cover three things today. So one is going to be what innovation optimization looks like. Two is what scale and duplication looks like. And three, we're going to talk about an important and beautiful issue. And we have a wonderful guest coming up. So yeah, so Adam, what for folks out there on Trajectory Tuesday, if they're looking inside their process mastery and they're seeking to assess assets and innovation, what does that look like? What's possible? But let's start with what was your takeaway when we did that this morning at 7 a.m. and we're unblinded and we have a formula, and how far away are we from optimizing our assets? And yeah, speak into this and so people get some bottom line takeaways for today on optimization.
Yeah. So the first thing when you asked what within process mastery allowed us to discover what we already knew we had, but just we're not utilizing, was time blocking. That really just landed. I said it to you, but until you asked the question, it didn't come to me. But yes, the fact that we first intentionally set aside time to make sure that we innovated on things that were as important as what we created today.
Yeah. And how many assets would you say that we identified that we are suboptimally leveraging for the exponential growth of Unblinded? How many assets do you think we uncovered this morning that were literally laying dormant, like we're burying them under the sand?
So,
yeah.
So not only was there at least 20 that were brought to the forefront, but Sean, we didn't even say as one of the assets, Sean Callaghy, by the way. I realized at the end of the call, we didn't even use you as an asset in the conversation as part of the organization, just to emphasize like how many other ones we were bringing up that are.
And just so we can support people in thinking through the assets that they have, right? So what do you mean by that? Like me as an asset, what does that mean?
I guess typically speaking, when you talk about assets, you think about marketing materials, digital, but true assets is intellectual property. The formula, real raw. And when we talk about Sean, you, of course, speaking engagements right now, this moment, this is you're bringing massive value to this call. I mean, beyond, I don't even know if we could comprehend the value you're bringing to this call. So you are the greatest asset right now that we have in this moment.
Yeah. So thank you. And what I would say is there's a combination of top assets, and another top asset are the people that are on this call with us.
Correct.
The folks in Elite, the folks in Mastery, and what these incredible people are doing as well.
Yeah.
So that's another extraordinary asset. So for you out there in Elite, in Mastery, real raw, our ability to communicate and influence is an incredible asset. And so let's lean into, well, we're going to get to that in a second, because that goes into the second point to really amplify that. But we're not issuing press releases. So we're going to go down some of the assets. So we have not issued press releases. Are you? When's the last time that you issued a press release? And why would you want to issue a press release? What can, would, and should be in that press release? What's a space that you can own through press releases, right? What type of written content not only are you putting out, because we want to disrupt something. It was awesome. Somebody came on a Railroad Open, and I want to have attribution, and I forgot the name of the person, but I loved it. They're like, yeah, when I was role playing with them, and I was them, and they were me, they used the phrase post and pray. They're like, yeah, I just feel like I'm posting and praying. I'm just like posting and praying. And I was like, I love that. So what that means is posting and praying to me is the equivalent to random networking. So it's a math problem. So you go through all the detail of making the content, and you have the content. And then instead of thinking mathematically, intelligently, creating processes around what to do with the content, we're just posting and praying. We're hoping that things happen. And when I was looking at the work of Eric Balance yesterday, and we were acknowledging Eric, he has some incredible digital process mastery cooking. I was very impressed by what he's doing. And the people coming on his Railroad Open. And so let's go. So I'm going to come to that as the second point. There's an elongated second point about a specific area of optimization for everybody. So written copy, video, but then what to do with it. Like, what do you do with it? So we have an asset called pictures. We have hundreds of pictures from the LBI weekend. And what we did with them initially was we put them in a link in the Unblinded Elite WhatsApp group. So we put them in there. Now, why would that be a suboptimal use of that asset? So, because I want you to begin to dial into on shifting your trajectory on Trajectory Tuesday, how to think about these things. So, Adam, well, actually, Fernando, you there, brother? No, Fernando yet.
Adam. Yeah, I'm here. What's up, team?
Yeah. So, Fernando, what?
Yes, I'm right here.
So we posted a link. So you don't see the pictures.
Yeah.
Link. So what could be a better strategy of amplifying that asset? And when you think about asset, think about the outcome. The outcome isn't to post something. The outcome isn't to show up somewhere. There's an outcome because you're showing up. There's an outcome from your speaking. There's an outcome from your posting. Yes? So what's the outcome? So talk to me in terms of, we put up a link, and the outcome from the link was so everybody could have their pictures. Is that the outcome we want, though, Fernando? What's a better outcome? What's a better outcome?
The galvanization of energy, the excitement and desire to share, the desire to be part of sharing the experience with other people that weren't able to experience it. So I give an example. Like, one thing Adam did right away is that he found all his photos and he posted them on Instagram. And I was like, whoa, where are these photos? It gave me the desire to go find mine. And the mistake that Adam and I made together is, instead of posting the link on the WhatsApp, if we would have posted a photo of Diana, loved it, Frank Clark would have been like, whoa, where's my photo? And then we posted one of Michelle. And then Elle would have been like, whoa, where's my photo? And that would have created beautiful galvanized design.
Yeah. I did send Bella her photo of her surfing.
So what happens if each day, instead, and this is how to think about optimizing assets, and it doesn't take a long time, but if there's no time blocking to think about it, it just doesn't happen. That's the first take. No time blocking, then there's no innovation and optimization. So as you acquire a new asset, there should be a time block in everybody's schedule called innovate on assets. Innovate on assets, because you acquire new assets. So if you have, ready? This is the brokenness of thinking. This is the brokenness of thinking. The brokenness of thinking is, okay, I have my posting schedule. That's not the right time block. The right time block is innovating on assets and having a broad definition of assets. There's intellectual assets, there's video assets, there's the ecosystem assets that you acquire, new relationships or potential ecosystem assets. There's video, there's written, there's things that happen in the world, there's timing. You know, there might be a timing asset because an article comes out that says, is there any way to grow my business? And there's a big article that you can comment on. So there could be endless series of assets. The real raw is an asset. The guests that come on, the fact that a professional football player was just on the real raw, right? And the incredibly wonderful things that he said at the end of it, is that an asset that you're leveraging when you're communicating with people to come on your real raw open so you build relationships with people? That's an asset for you. So it's an asset for you if it happens around you. It makes what you're doing easier and more relevant. So to use this example, if we post, what happens if we post 10 pictures a day for 25 days? Because LBI is forgotten already. In a lot of ways, it's a beautiful memory, but windows open and close like that. But what happens if we post 10 pictures a day in this incredibly galvanized group of people from Unblinded Elite? Fernando, do you think that that creates acceleration, galvanization, recollection, and moves the message of LBI outward and Elite?
I would have a resounding yes. And, just to continue to add to it, I'm curious on what our guest today, is thinking about this beautiful conversation. And yeah, it would bring energy back. It would reopen that window, and it would bring the desire to share those memories and step back into them once again.
Yeah, and we're gonna get to, and we have one guest today, correct or no?
We do, correct.
So we're gonna get there in a minute. Okay. So, and then the asset and the energy around you is you want to have things that are new, curious, congruently unique about you. So if you're posting fun pictures from something amazing that you did, and then you're putting some quotes, some language about the formula, there's attraction towards you. That's called ecosystem merging. That's called mutuality of value exchange. And we're going to create some immense enhancement of our time blocking and acceleration around it. So that's breakthrough number one. The call this morning at 7 a.m. was one of the top 5 most valuable 7 a.m. calls we've ever had. And I don't know, Fernando, agree or disagree?
I would agree with that statement.
Okay. So, and we had the collective energy and thoughts of Lorelei, Tiffany, Nicole, Gina, Miles, Matt, Chaz, Adam, Fernando, Tiffany, Gina, Lorelei.
Tinkerbell, Sean Callaghy, Lily.
Thanks, Nicole, right? Yeah. All these folks, right? I thought I said Nicole. Forgive me, Nicole, of course. And let me continue to acknowledge every single day, complete insanity. I don't know how she keeps up with the energy, because when we're doing certain things, she's doing 3 things at once. So unbelievable job. And everybody got to contribute, and everybody got to innovate or in and around the thinking. Okay. So now let's go to the second point for today. The second point for today is, what does it look like when there's scale and duplication? So I was under an immense amount of, I was present to and felt some level of stress about moving from Eric Balance. Eric did an amazing job on his first Aurora Open, but it was his first. And so we're still optimizing our processes for people on what the system is, what the timing is. Gina's doing a wonderful job. That's going to be enhanced. By the way, another innovation is we're going to have a Real Raw Open call every week for people to get optimized, continue their training, to check in with Gina. So it's a galvanized time and energy that will be present. And so there were things that Eric did just over the top amazingly. He got content out. He had his speakers were posting. His people on his Rora Open were posting. They were just ridiculously incredible people that Eric had on there in terms of their level of influence. Now, what wasn't quite there yet, though, was the format. So, it was Eric thinking there was 2 rounds, not one, like just a couple of minor distinctions, but it put the timing off a little bit. So I hadn't yet been able to deliver an example of the formula, what we would, for fun, call a magic trick, which is really just advanced science. And by the way, the magic trick part was Michael Smikin originally saying that with the things that I would do in influence, this is back in the day, this is a way he would edify and explain to people in speaking events. When we first started doing events for clients and other people, he would say that it looks like magic, but it's really just advanced science. So that's been around a long time, that concept, since 10 years ago with Michael. And we talk about it internally in training. He's like, dude, you make it look like magic, but I get it now. It's just advanced science. So I hadn't done the advanced science thing. I hadn't role played. I hadn't done the formula, and I felt frustrated. But we needed to launch the next Rower Open, and so but Adam and Fernando were there, and so I left, and I'm like, ugh, like there was 3 awesome people. We had Luke Wren, who presents at Life Mastery, works with professional athletes, celebrities, people. Luke's got a phenomenal background in training. He's been on training on Tony Robbins stages for I think more than a decade. We had Emily on, who with Isogenics is just a major rock star. I think she was in Forbes, on the cover of Forbes recently. She was there. We had this gentleman, Sachin, who has like 7 companies that are 7-figure companies, and just all kinds of immense successes from South Africa. And so these incredible people were there, but they didn't experience the science and magic of the formula. And I was like, ugh. So I felt opportunity missed, but couldn't have the next Rower Open that was launching not launch integrously, right? And with me present. So I had to move on. So after I move on, though, Fernando, you want to give optics on what happens next with Adam?
Yeah. So as soon as you jumped off, without a second hesitation, Adam jumped right in and said, "Hey guys, boom, let's do this." He just continued the rounds, and I was acknowledging Adam, and I'll get to the main point afterwards, as Adam was a beautiful example of what it looks like. And I had this conversation with Gina, because the original thought, and I knew it was going to come, was like, oh, Sean's leaving. And yeah, technically that's happening. What's really happening is that you have an opportunity to ascend to leadership, and no one needs to tell you to do that. That's a privilege window. That's an opportunity. So when Sean, quote unquote, leaves, which, that's one way to view it. Another way to view it is the way Adam did. He goes, boom, opportunity for leadership. And he stepped in, and he had his conversation. He guided. And then, he really put the flag in the ground when he said, you know what? Before we go, blah, 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 give me 1 round. Muhammad Ali style, put the gloves on. I'm going to put myself at stake, my identity at stake, who I am, my genius. I was like, oh, damn, I even crossed my arms. I was like, oh, shit, Adam's stepping up. And Adam stepped up, and, he did his thing. And, if you guys ever want to laugh, if you ever have the opportunity to listen to a dynamic between Adam and his mom, it is free. I was about to curse. It is the most comical experience on the planet. So we were on the phone, his mom's there, boom, take out the recycles. And Adam's like, but I'm on a call. And it was just really funny. And he's like, Fernando, can you explain what happened? And I'll go, yeah, your son made a grown man cry publicly in under 60 seconds with 2 questions. And that's the Zeus way to say it. The goddess way to say it is Adam listened. He listened. He helped Eric feel heard, seen, understood, validated, and acknowledged in front of his peers with 2. Listen to me, people. It wasn't a statement. It was 2 questions, 60 seconds, as a display of what integrity-based human influence is all about. And brother Gajin, you owned it. You owned it. And it was an exceptional display of the formula.
And those people that were participating, that are out there in the influencer space, and see and hear all kinds of coaching and things, at least 2 of them had tears. One of them
did
fully drawn in and close to tears. And these are people who see things like this every single day. That doesn't happen without scale and duplication. And that doesn't happen without you, brother Adam Gugino, and your commitment to everything that we're doing here. And so the point, I want to hear from Adam in a second. The point is that that's the opportunity for all of us here together, right? We have said from day one, this is not about one person. This is about all of us. It's about a formula. And you're rising and mastering that formula gives you the opportunity to have that occur. And now those people don't feel like they need Sean Callagy to be present to have magic happen. Adam Gagino can do it. And that's what we're doing. And that's what scale and duplication equals. And the that I feel as a result of that is unbelievable. And we want every one of you to feel that. We want you to create that. You're the leader. You're the leader, drawing people to you. You're building your platform. And that's what this week is about. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the Thursday Night Mastery Call. We are going to be drilling into this, not ego-wise, but influencers influencing influencers to merge ecosystems for 1 + 1 = 1 trillion relationships to make the world an even greater place. How do we all become more by having moments like what Adam did happen? Adam, then we got to get to our wonderful guest. 60 seconds, brother, and how that felt for you and what is present for you.
Here's how it felt, just what you described. So it wasn't about ego. It wasn't about significance. I saw an opportunity for Eric because as I watched this play out, Eric never had a chance to be himself and tell his story. And as all this was happening, I'm like, man, Eric needs to tell who he is in this group. And the minute that I had that chance to give him the opportunity to share, I knew, that was going to be within the format and that it was, we're going to go from hello to yes. And that's part of this process. But at the same time, I was going to give him a chance to really go into his heart. And that's what happened. And it felt absolutely incredible because of knowing how amazing that Eric felt in that moment and what the impact was going to be as the rest of these people saw what was possible, because I know the influence they have, which means now today, when they're on their stages, speaking in front of hundreds of thousands of people, potentially, they may use some of what they learned and they're going to change lives. And it all hit me all at once.
Yeah. It's a flag in the ground, Gina, flag in the ground for everybody running Rora Open. When I go to you, hey, so why are you doing this? I want to challenge you today to let your answer not be, well, I want to bring some people together to meet some people. Is that why you're doing it? Like, what are you doing in the world? And how does this fit in? Because I think what you might be doing is I think despite your fear, your exhaustion, your overwhelm, that you're bringing people together and your fear of rejection, fear of failure that may linger and not yet have been fully burnt and reframed. I think what you're doing is bringing humans together to be an influencer, a leader, leading leaders to make the world a greater place. Because you want to build for yourself and other people the idea and the legacy of impacting the world and their life and their money, their time, and their magic. And that this experiential format is the way that begins. Because I think that's what you actually may be doing, or whatever else it means to you from your heart. But I'm sure that what you're not doing is, well, I'm doing this to, bring some people together so they can meet and have, more business. I don't think that's what you're doing. And that's what Adam did for Eric. And when I asked that question, that's where the opportunity sits for you in every one of our Rora Opens. Fernando or Adam, are you going to say something? I heard a word. If not, cool.
Nope.
Awesome. The only thing I would say is that the last thing, even getting off, I was thinking of ways to optimize what we could do better and some of the things we may have missed. So as great as it was, we're always thinking.
Yeah, dude, not even close to perfect.
Yeah.
Not even close, brother, ever. I mean, there's all kinds of levers all over the place, always. Levers all over the place also last night, acknowledging Michelle Echebarren. Fantastic job for launch taking action. Peter Swain, thank you, brother. Chaz, Kelly, Hannah, Brian Morgan. Thank you, team, and Sean Grossi for your participation. And everybody who touched it. Thank you, team. We launched. Michael Smikin, thank you for jumping on as well. And Michelle, super job. progress has begun. We had more than 200 people sign up for the webinar. I'm not sure the exact number that attended live, but we'll see replay. We have information people. There's a million levers to pull. But we had 200 people in the legal world, lawyers and in the legal world, that registered. We delivered a very strong beginning, and probably every part of our process, influence, and self-mastery could be optimized in it, but it was awesome and has begun. Flag in the ground. The next one will have more optimization, more people. But last night, the feedback I got from some people is, oh my God, it was amazing. It was incredible. And yeah, I'm thankful. I'm super thankful to Michelle. In terms of me, my performance, I'm like, yeah, on my standard, I would say it was like an 8.6, on my scale. And there's a ton to leverage, and I'm super excited about it. So it could be more fluid. It could have been more like bring people out. There's a whole bunch of things, but we've begun, and it's awesome. And nothing can be optimized until you begin it. Yes. So let's bring up our guest. Great job, Michelle, team, everyone. Let's bring up our guest. Super important issue. Let's acknowledge and hit it. So Fernando, what we got?
So welcome Ritu Chopra, who is the founder and executive director of Lead My Way, an author, TV show host, award-winning film director, motivational speaker, and certified leadership coach. She is a DV survivor and an advocate for domestic violence awareness and prevention efforts. Her foundation/organization, known as Lead My Way, objectives are to create awareness and prevalence of domestic violence in communities, foster healthy relationships among young adults, and educate teens for healthy relationships to support DV survivors with their personal and professional growth. Welcome to the movement, Ritu Chopra.
Good morning. Good morning, Sean, Adam, Fernando. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Ritu. So what do you have going on? What's coming up, and why does this matter to you in the world, Ritu?
Why it matters to me in the world. I, as a young, ambitious woman, had big dreams for life, got married, my life changed, took a very different turn. And it was about 25 years later that I realized I'd never allowed myself time to heal. It was survival mode. I'm a DV survivor. So I started a healing project. I didn't know what it would be, but I needed that so much. So um, I am not a Hollywood, Bollywood fan, have no background in filming, but I took this filming because any visuals, when they are done right, they embed in people's psyche. So looking at the immense issues, intersectionalities of domestic violence, and I needed to present a message. So I ended up doing a series of documentary, which turned into a 30-minute and a 90-minute full-length, two films with 4 awards. Uh, the outcome was, you talked about optimization of ideas and assets. So Lead My Way was born to take the message further. And more importantly, what I observe through my research, my personal experiences, and hundreds of people off camera that I spoke to, it was very hard to walk away. So, Lead My Way's objectives are far-reaching impact of domestic violence, education, awareness. We are advocacy organization. We try to bring our attention and focus not just for the service provider, but also community at large. People just cannot go leave. How it takes many, many years and decades for people to sort out their lives, make sense. Um, but help is available. You don't need to live in and day out in fear. There is help available. You owe it to yourself to heal. You owe it to your children, your next generation, to give them a positive experiences of life. So this is what Lead My Way does. And we have a big event coming up. We have performers and speakers from Alberta all the way Perth, Australia. So it's a global event, free registration. And I am sharing the event details. Please join. We have uh, excellent, excellent speakers for 4 different panels. If you know anyone, they do not have to be a victim or survivor, if you're a service provider, know anyone in your life, colleagues, friends, neighbors that might be able to benefit, please join us.
Ritu, thank you. And yes, I'm going to be delivering my video and my virtual appearance at this. So thank you so much. You know, there's certainly folks whose lives have been impacted dramatically more than mine through domestic violence, but my life has been impacted by domestic violence for sure. Yes, I look forward to it, and thank you for that. And I want to lean in, and we're going to wrap up, guys, in about 3 minutes. But this is a question that sits on my heart in a deep way, Ritu, and I want to get your take. So I'm listening to the book Can't Hurt Me, right, by David Goggins. And there's sections of the book where he went through tremendous challenges with systemic racism. He went through domestic violence, amazing traumas at the hands of his father. And his approach is one of empathy, but immense, like direct confront with what you do from here, right? So that's present. I've studied the work of people in the space of nonviolent communication, not in immense depth, but at some level of depth, and had friends that are students of nonviolent communication, and they would have a very different perspective and approach. As we've discussed things in the huddle, there's everybody here has some degree of a differing perspective on the balancing of empathy and understanding versus the reframing, the using of, and the acceleration forward. And just if you could give people a takeaway for 60 seconds on the process according to Ritu, because it's always unique. And by the way, I'm going to anchor on that I am really comfortable that we should not have blame and judgment of people's perspectives. So David Goggins is one of intense Zeus confront energy with factual empathy, right? And there's all kinds of different perspectives on what to do. So Ritu, where do you sit on in terms of the balance of empathy and healing and supporting the using of to leverage forward? Like, how does that model, for you work together in your 60 seconds?
Thank you, Sean. So, Ritu's perspective, um, domestic violence is not a women's issue. It's women's, men's, and everyone's. It's society's issue.
Yeah.
Men, women, children, elders, everyone suffers. Uh, it doesn't know no boundaries, socioeconomics. So the empathy part that we need to create, when people ask me, oh, how do I deal with others when I know? If you don't know how to ask them the right questions, just be kind, don't judge them.
Mm.
People minimize their pain. They hide their stories. They make up fake stories to hide their wounds, inner and outer.
Yeah.
Just be kind to them, and offer help. If you cannot offer help, just kindness is good enough. It takes so much courage for people to come out and talk about what's ailing them inside. They keep it inside. Sean, I have gone through more than 120 hours of training from New Jersey Victim Assistant Academy just to broaden my perspective, how to have trauma based care, trauma based communication with people who have gone through. If a little boy or little girl are exposed to toxic environment, child abuse, they grow up to be a man and a woman. So how can we say
Yeah.
this is a women's issue? That is one of the myths that it bothers me. I cringe once I hear domestic violence is women issue. I would like to say it's a society's issue. We have to come together because there are better ways to heal, better ways to resolve the differences. Violence does not have to be.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I'll just throw this question to ponder on this trajectory Tuesday. People that engage in wrongful behavior need to be there need to be boundaries, and the lack of reaction often from law enforcement in these situations has been historically horrific dynamic and problem, right? I think what you just said though speaks into it's like where, if you watch a movie, it depends upon your seat at the movie, so there's somebody that's close to me that, and I mean, this is a person who has been an influence and a mentor in my life. And their father, when they were 10 years old, this is a male, beat him with a shoe, almost killed him. And then several weeks later, after he got out of the hospital, snuck back in the house and was sitting in the house when he came home, and he was 10 years old, and said, next time I'll finish the job. Right? So what happens to that man when he grows up? And that doesn't mean that man, by the way, is not somebody that engaged in domestic violence. But what do we do? Like, what do we do? Because there needs to be empathy, boundaries, people put away. But how many of the people that grow up and end up as people who are engaging in abusive conduct were in fact abused? And studies that I've seen would suggest an incredible mass number of people. So yeah, like, how do we stop this? How do we have this right now? I'm aware of situations where law enforcement is not doing what it needs to do. How do we stop this? And how do we deal with the fact that law enforcement right now might be afraid, and they might be afraid because of other reasons, and they might be like, how do we deal with these layered, complex problems and not select one sentence and go, are you saying? No, relax, dude. Relax. What I'm saying is the shit's a lot more complicated than your anger. It's a lot more complicated. And you jumping on a soapbox and yelling and screaming about one perspective about what's happening is how we got here. Division, anger, attacking, vilifying, blaming, judging, that doesn't mean accepting wrongful conduct, but it means oversimplifying solutions is how we got to today. Politicians, people in the media screaming about the problem and having a dog shit solution that does nothing is how we got here. So Ritu, I acknowledge your empathy, your heart, your truth, what you're doing, because I feel your energy about understanding the complexity of challenges and your awareness that is from that place that we can actually make progress. So thank you for being on today and what you're doing.
Thank you, Sean. And thank you for accepting to be on our panel. I appreciate that very much.
Well, appreciate you very much. Thank you, because this is an unbelievable challenge of layers and layers and layers of complexity that we have to deal with. So thank you. You're amazing. Awesome. So thank you all for being here in this Trajectory Tuesday, standing for truth, reality, and perspective, for being perfectly imperfect. And we're all perfectly imperfect. And if I knew the solution to domestic violence, I'd be telling you. But I know this, we don't have it yet because it still exists. But it needs to be on somebody's time blocking. It's on Ritu's. Congratulations. And it's on many of yours. So thank you for that and what you're doing in the world. I'll do a little teeny tiny part, but thank you for being leaders, leading leaders in that space to get to authentic, genuine, integrous resolutions. Adam, final, sir.
Wow. I mean, this is what it looks like.
Yeah.
This is what it looks like.
Fernando.
Today.
Yes, I'm right here. Saying thank you, Sean. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, team. Thank you, everyone, for staying with us here. Ritu, thank you, for displaying such what Goddess Zeus, feels, sounds like. It is touched my heart. I believe this is a topic that is near and dear to many people, not only within the movement, all of us here on leadership, leading this movement. And, we're here to create what we can create together. And supporting leaders like yourself to influence others to see the world the way you're seeing it in a healthy, integrous, and truthful way. So thank you, Sean, for constantly being poised, no matter what we're talking about at all times, no matter like the day. It is exceptional to watch you do it. So much appreciated. Back to you.
Yeah, perfectly imperfect, blind and just learning to see every day.